Ancient Greek grammar is morphologically complex and preserves several features of Proto-Indo-European morphology. Nouns, adjectives, pronouns, articles, numerals and especially verbs are all highly inflected. This article primarily discusses the morphology of Attic Greek diacritics. The classical Greek script did not use accents. Accents were devised in the Hellenistic era by scholars who wanted to make it easier for foreigners to learn Greek. The general use of these accents began during the Byzantine Empire. Modern Greek has used only two diacritics since 1982, namely the diaresis and the acute. The ancient Greek script has 7 diacritics, and the iota subscript. Breathings. The rough breathing, written over a vowel letter O, marks the sound para at the beginning of a word, preceding the vowel. At the beginning of a word, the vowel upsilon and the letter O always have the rough breathing. The smooth breathing marks the absence of the para sound. Accents. The acute accent is used on long or short vowels or at the third syllable from the end. If there is a long vowel before a long vowel, it will take an acute accent, e.g., kappa omega mu eta nu theta rho omega pi omicron sigma. The grave accent is used on long or short vowels and replaces the acute accent but only on the last syllable. However, it is not used when the next word causes an inclination of the accent and also when a punctuation mark follows, e.g., kappa alpha lambda sigma pi omicron iota mu nu pi omicron iota mu alpha iota nu epsilon iota but lambda alpha phi omicron sigma tau iota of sigma. The word tau iota of sigma is behaving as if it is one word with lambda alpha phi omicron sigma and lambda theta epsilon omega alpha nu eta. The circumflex, displayed as either a tilde or an inverted breathe, is used on long vowels. It is on long syllables before short syllables and on nouns in the genitive and the dative case whose final syllable is accented. Also, it is often placed where a contraction has taken place, e.g., tau iota mu alpha epsilon iota nu in gt, tau iota mu nu, kappa pi omicron sigma, nominative alpha gamma eta, genitive alpha gamma sigma and alpha gamma nu, dative alpha gamma and alpha gamma alpha sigma. Morphology. Nominals. Nouns. In ancient Greek, all nouns, including proper nouns, are classified according to grammatical gender as masculine, feminine and neuter and present forms in 5 distinct morphological cases. Furthermore, common nouns present distinct forms in the singular, dual and plural number. The set of forms that any particular noun will present for each case and number is determined by the declension that it follows. The form of the declension is additionally determined by the final letter or letters in the stem. Definite article. Attic Greek has a definite article, but no indefinite article. The definite article agrees with its associated noun in number, gender and case. Proper names usually take a definite article, as do abstract nouns. Adjectives are either placed between the article and noun or after the noun, in which case the article is repeated before the adjective. Dependent genitive noun phrases are positioned in exactly the same way, even though this frequently results in splitting the article and noun by a long dependent phrase. For example, tau tau omicron nu theta rho omega pi omicron epsilon rho gamma omicron nu to 2 anthr po egon, literally, the deed, or the deed of the man. Quote, in earlier Greek, for instance Homeric Greek, there was no definite article as such, the corresponding forms still having their original use as demonstrative pronouns. The definite article is declined thus. The forms tau alpha and tau alpha nu for feminine duals also exist. Verbs have 4 moods, 3 voices, as well as 3 persons and 3 numbers. Verbs are conjugated in 4 main combinations of tense and aspect, with a full complement of moods for each of these main tenses. Except for the following restrictions: there is no future subjunctive or future imperative. There are separate passive voice forms only in the future and aorist. In addition, for each of the 4 tenses, there exists in each voice an infinitive and participles. There is also an imperfect indicative that can be constructed from the present using a prefix and the secondary endings. A pluperfect and future perfect indicative also exist but are rather rare. The distinction of the tenses in moods other than the indicative is predominantly one of aspect rather than time. The ancient Greek verbal system preserves nearly all the complexities of Proto-Indo-European. A distinction is traditionally made between the so-called athematic verbs, with endings affixed directly to the root, and the thematic class of verbs that present a thematic vowel o or e before the ending. All athematic roots end in a vowel except for sb. The endings are classified into primary and secondary. Ancient Greek also preserves the pyramidal voice. The passive voice that occurs in the future and aorist is an innovation.